All of these stories and more in the next few minutes. Thank you very much for staying with us. My name is Beatrice Edu, now a co-sponsor of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2025. Samuel Nate George has called on Parliament to transmit the bill to President John Mahama for the necessary constitutional processes. He argues that Parliament's standing orders do not provide room for reconsideration of the bill. He was speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the 4th Interparliamentary Conference on Family, Sovereignty and Values.
When passes a bill, Parliament is functus officio. I think that the only role that Parliament has today is to transmit the bill to the President. When it goes to the President has indicated that he will want to have scrutiny of the bill. The Constitution spells out the steps the President can take to scrutinize the bill. He has a number of days after it's been transmitted to him to report back to the House and say, I have no objection. I'm signing it. I'm assenting to it. If he has an issue, he can write back to us and say, I have an issue with this provision, that provision. Parliament should reconsider it with his recommendations. He can't just give issues. He must make recommendations through his Attorney General. Or he can refer it to the Council of State for advice and notify Parliament that I've sent it to the Council of State. There's a number of days for all of this. I think the longest is the Council of State one, which takes 30 days for them to come back to him. If he has an objection, he has 14 days to indicate so. If he has no objection, 7 days to indicate so. I think that that's where we are. Parliament should transmit the bill, warts and all, irrespective of whatever drama may have conspired. Parliament has done its job.
Now, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Lindo Klu, is promising tough action against indiscipline, illegal development and poor planning practices blamed for the city's recurring flood crises. The pledge follows Wednesday's downpour, which submerged major roads, cut off communities and left a trail of destruction across several parts of the capital city. As regional minister, she says that she is committed to ensuring that accountability, professionalism and strict adherence to the law become the hallmark of governance within the Greater Accra region. In response to these events, the government, through the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, will immediately implement a series of measures aimed at improving public safety, strengthening regulatory compliance and protecting lives and property. We say in Accra because Accra's rapid urbanization is fueling a crisis, floods that wash away homes and livelihoods. Water Resources Consultant Engineer Francis Nate Okanse warns that unregulated construction on waterways is choking the city's drainage. He urges residents to harvest rainwater at home, a simple step that could ease the burden and reduce flooding.
The problem is when we do seal drains, people drink sachet water, they eat papaya in those styrofoam plastics, and they just dump them anywhere. And these plastics wash into the drain, and they go and block the drain.
Despite repeated demolitions, new buildings continue to spring up on waterways. Choked drains and tiled compounds push rainwater directly into homes and onto streets, turning every downpour into a disaster.
The building regulation enforces us to have a certain portion of the land, up to about 50%, to be greenfield. That is to have as a green area in your house. If we do not make the path for it to flow and we go and inhabit those places and convert more of it through our concreting and impervious building, then the flooding situation is going to get worse. And the streets to have no proper defined drainage systems. So the water finds its own level, gathers at the lowest depression, and people's homes are flooded.
Engineer Francis Nate Okanse urges residents to consider harvesting rainwater at home to ease pressure on drainage systems.
When the water is released at the same time and in a very fast manner, and they accumulate quickly, that is what is causing the flooding. So when we store and attenuate the flow gradually and release, then they are not going to sort of meet at the same time. We are going to delay the flow so that by the time water comes from your house and my house, yours will go ahead of me and then pass without causing flooding, and mine will come next. But if we are releasing at the same time, we increase the volume.
He warns that although the rains are short in duration, their intensity is high. According to him, rushing home during storms is dangerous, and he advises individuals to seek safe shelter until the flood waters recede.
People are rushing home to be safe, but then rushing home is not rather going to keep you safe. You don't know what you will encounter on the way. The road may be flooded, your home may be flooded.
Engineer Okansi called for stronger regulation, saying flooding must no longer be an annual tragedy for the people of Accra.
Now, the Nkwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly says it will arrest and charge the landlord whose building collapsed at Adenta New Site, killing one and injuring 4 others. The municipal chief executive, Ibrahima Afaila Husseini, says the said landlord defied orders and warnings but still pursued the building when the contractor pointed out some structural defects. George Quenin has the rest of the story.
Residents here are still living in shock after losing one of their own. It was an avoidable death, they told the news team. For hours, these 2 heroes managed to evacuate some of the victims, a family made up of 9.
So kwa bibi besi na me ni bra ekofi me ni mienu na eba e ko sesan ya chise ya bibia hama omudi excavator by want me anya hwi ogina ya na ebubo no kakra ye frefre yante obi anka ye frɛ police for yante omuka fire service omamba na yankasa e start yi kakra na yi nipa baako.
Some relatives are deeply hurt by the loss. The Ghana Fire Service confirmed that, apart from the rescued victims, a dog and Toyota Corolla were also retrieved.
I've realized that ever since we left, the place has been left untouched. And so I've spoken to them. I was trying to communicate with the district NADMO director to see what's the next line of action. Because for us, we are done with our physical work that we're supposed to do on grounds. And so we expect that the debris will be collected so that further investigations can be done, so that we bring in the engineers to also come and then confirm the structural integrity and all those stuff. It's supposed to be a team, a collaboration.
The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, is highly concerned about the wanton disregard for safety and regulations in the building industry.
We actually don't consider our safety, whatever we are doing. We'll say, okay, fine, this is the only thing I have today, and so therefore let me do it, without putting the safety into serious consideration. So it is a serious concern to us. And most of the disasters in Ghana, I think that could have been avoided.
Municipal Chief Executive of the Nkwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly, Landma, Ibrahim Afaila Husseini, says they will pursue the landlord and arrest him.
The former engineer, I called him. He gave us the rundown that they've already stopped the man. You understand? They've already stopped the man from constructing the building. That is a single story. So on what grounds are you trying to go beyond the first single story? So they stopped him and he refused to listen to that. So some way, somehow, he found his own means to move to the 2-story. So that is what we are in now. And we are going to arrest him. We will not spare that. The law must bite. And therefore, we will take him up. So we are now looking for him.
The MCE also toured some affected areas following Wednesday's downpour, where actions of residents were also to blame for some devastations. Landma is also desilting and dredging streams and gutters to mitigate the impact of the perennial flooding.
And speaking of destructions, a fire outbreak on Wednesday, the 3rd of June, at the Central Police Barracks Annex in Accra has displaced more than 100 police personnel and destroyed several properties. During a visit to the scene on Thursday, the 4th of June, the Minister for the Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, accompanied by the Inspector General of Police and leadership of the Ghana Police Service, condemned attacks on firefighters and assured affected residents of temporary accommodation.
This was a scene at the Central Police Barracks Annex in Accra when the news team arrived on Thursday, June 4. Firefighters had successfully contained the blaze and left the scene. However, traders returned to the area by morning with no city guards present to prevent access. The affected area had not been cordoned off, exposing traders and residents to potential danger. Some traders expressed frustration at what they described as a delayed response from the Ghana National Fire Service.
What pained me most was the fire service. They were here, their trucks were here, but 2 hours, no Dumja. 2 hours, no Dumja, and it was burning. It was really burning.
Accra Fire Service to do. Central Police Station,
The Accra Fire Service came here and said, there is no water in the tank. What is your work if they only came here to say there is no water in the fire tanker?
But the Greater Accra Regional Fire Commander rejected the claims, explaining that fire tenders are always dispatched fully equipped and carrying water.
Yesterday your men got here, you are told they got here, and the usual rhetorics, no water in the fire tender. Is there any explanation why the public always think you bring about 3 fire tenders and they claim there is no water in the tender?
Let me put it on record. There is no fire engine that can carry unlimited water. It is not possible because there is no fire engine that can come and mount here around 7 p.m. yesterday and fight fire to this morning 3 a.m. without the water exhausting.
Shortly afterwards, security personnel arrived to cordon off the area. They were followed by the Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive and his team, who immediately began decongestion exercise around the fire scene.
Why are you doing demolition at this very particular time, sir?
You can see it's blocking way for us to have access to. We have to demolish the whole structure, but we have to start from somewhere.
You have to start from somewhere?
Yeah.
Because somebody is saying you wait for the problem to start before you want to act. Is that what it is?
I don't wait for a problem to start.
The Inspector General of Police later arrived, followed by the Chief Fire Officer and the Minister for the Interior. The delegation visited the police hospital where a firefighter was receiving treatment after sustaining serious injuries while battling the blaze. The Minister for the Interior assured affected residents that temporary accommodation would be provided while plans are made for their relocation. He also cautioned the public to stop attacking firefighters during emergency operations.
The newest fire tender we have is 14 years old. So when they are coming and break down, they get there and you're attacking them. How fair are you to them? It's we, the state, who must provide them with those equipment. The president is on the mood for us to be able to buy new fire tender. We started the process, we've gotten the commencement, the process is on. I'm sure by the end of the year, some new fire tenders will come. That may help speed up some of the, and then prevent this unnecessary attack because they have delayed. I mean, if you are using a very rickety vehicle, obviously it cannot get to the place in good time.
Meanwhile, traders who lost goods and property in the fire are appealing to government for support to help them rebuild their businesses and livelihoods. Joseph Armstrong, Go Dalugwe, TV3, Accra Central.
Some more here, and the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has urged government officials and members of the National Democratic Congress to remain focused on the delivery of government policies. She made the call at the National Democratic Congress June 4 Uprising commemoration held at Banda on Thursday, the 4th of June.
Vice President, Her Excellency Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, highlighted the importance of unity in building a resilient state, reflecting on the lessons from this pivotal moment in Ghana's history.
We have come 47 years since. We have much further to go. And it's not just counting the time. It is about the quality of the impact. And as I said, it depends on all of us. We can make Ghana much better today than it was yesterday. We can make it much better tomorrow than it is today.
Johnson Esedu Nketia, the national chairman of the NDC, has demanded justice for those who lost their lives in the elections and called for an end to electoral violence.
yɛmfa nkɔ gyina emrani enti mesra sɛ police adwuma no ɔmo nyina ɔmo na so nyɛ ɔmo adwuma na gidie emfiri mu emma na Ghana fo hu sɛ udi bɔne na prosi ba obedwane afiri hɔ.
General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Fifi Fiavikote, cautioned party members and other political leaders against pursuing leadership positions out of personal ambition.
Cut out the desperation. Cut out the selfishness. Cut out the thinking that this is about you. You must orchestrate left, right, and center. No! Because this country needs leaders who truly just love the country, not themselves.
Professor Jinana Opoku-Agyemang cut sword for the commencement of the construction of the Banda Inner Town roads. Claude Kumi Ebisa, TV3 News, Banda Impro.
Now, regional leaders at the ECOWAS Agri-Rice Investment Roundtable say that West Africa should be viewed as an investable regional food systems economy instead of a collection of fragmented markets. The leaders say that strategic value chains such as rice provide important entry points for strengthening food sovereignty, regional trade, industrialization, and inclusive economic growth across the region.
Led by AGRA, the event convened ECOWAS leadership and member state representatives, financial institutions and investment actors. It was aimed at positioning West Africa as an investable regional food systems platform anchored in market integration, trade corridors and regional value chains. The ECOWAS Rice Investment Roundtable marked an important transition from coordination and policy alignment towards investment mobilization and financing ecosystems capable of accelerating food systems transformation at scale. Dr. Kalilu Sila, the ECOWAS Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, noted Africa's food system requires scalable financing ecosystems, not isolated projects. Unlocking transformation at scale will require stronger coordination between governments, regional institutions.
So we have a protocol on investment, protocol on the free movement, we have a protocol of free movement, also ATLS, free movement also of goods. All this protocol should work, but the mechanism should come back down, should be implemented, and it should function for the small farmers.
The strategic partnership between the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and AGRA has become an important pillar in advancing agricultural transformation, regional coordination, and investment dialogue across West Africa.
The ECOWAS, the ERO, the ECOWAS Rice Observatory has demonstrated how regional collaboration can help address these challenges by strengthening marketing intelligence, investment visibility, data systems, and coordination across the region.
The leaders agreed that unlocking the next phase of transformation will require stronger African-led investment coalitions.
Some World Cup updates, and the Black Stars have arrived in the United States ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The team departed Wales on Wednesday after their pre-World Cup friendly in Cardiff. The senior men's national team will camp at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. The Stars received a rousing welcome from fans upon arrival. The Black Stars are expected to face Jamaica on the 10th of June in their final warm-up match before opening their World Cup campaign against Panama on the 17th of June. Ghana have been drawn in Group L alongside England, Croatia and Panama as they chase a first World Cup knockout stage qualification since the 2010 tournament. And that's all for News Morning here on New Day on TV3. My name is Beatrice Sedu. Thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Do continue with us on New Day.
first in news. TV3 first in news. TV3 first in news. TV3, first in news. TV3, first in news. First in news. TV3, first in news. TV3, first in news.
Calm down. When we went for the 2006 World Cup, I remember the very first game, we lost to Italy, and we subsequently went ahead and played against Czech Republic, who at the time were in the top 10, the world ranking, but we managed to beat Czech Republic. We also saw what we did in 2010 after that amazing run in the African Cup of Nations and in the World Cup as well. So Ghana, there are a lot of surprises that we have. Let's all be hopeful. Yes, the team does not look as good as we've looked in the past, but the 2010 team was also very similar. It basically had young players who had been moved from the under 20 side that just come in. So it was not a case that we had the best of stars as we necessarily have today, but we still managed to do very well. So let's remain confident and cheer on the Black Stars as the anthem has been bring back the love and support the team to do very well. It's a Friday edition of New Day here on TV3. I'm Joseph Akable. There's a lot to talk about this morning. We've had a very should I say, a week that has been marred with a bit of disaster here and there, if I can put the description in that particular manner. There were fire outbreaks in parts of the capital. There was also a building collapse that took place. There's a flooding that has basically been confronting us virtually any time it rains. And that report that we brought you on the news segment of the show makes the point that these days it's not about how long it rains. It can rain for 30 minutes and every place get flooded. I've seen videos of people's homes on TikTok. There are areas, Lakeside, areas, Malam Junction, wetlands, different parts of the capital basically. Then there's a whole conversation to be had about our roads, our major roads. On Wednesday, when the building collapse took place at Adentan, when we were coming back from the coverage, the road in front of Flagstaff House, Jubilee House, was flooded as well. The road in front of Jubilee House, in between from 37 to Jubilee House, when you are coming from 37 to Jubilee House, that part of the stretch was completely flooded as well. And it raises very serious questions, not just because of the parts of the capital that we're talking about. One thing that we cannot help but notice is that when it rains, our major routes, the best of our routes, the roads that even are recently constructed. You can talk about the Pokwase interchange, that aspect of town as well. That part also gets flooded. These are recent great roads that we just recently put together that you'll be wondering and thinking that, well, because they are more recent, they should be able to deal with some of these matters. You can understand when a road is constructed so many years back and a place gets flooded, that you say that, well, maybe the engineering at the time was not done to deal with the volume of water that we have it now. But we are still seeing our modern and very recent roads being flooded as well. And so it raises questions about town management. We've also seen demolition that is taking place. Sakomono Ramsar site, the demolition is taking place. A part of Dansoman, demolition is taking place. A strongly worded statement has been issued by the Greater Accra minister, serving notice that they are going to be very tough in terms of how they deal with some of these matters going forward. And so it's been a part of the conversation that we've had. And again, mostly around this time of the year, we see newspaper clippings from as far back as the 1960s, reminding us of our then president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, going around and visiting flood-affected areas and checking up and trying to figure out what could be done about it. We've seen it play out subsequently. The military leaders were also going around doing the same. Now, in the republic that we have now currently, the Fourth Republic, we've also had the various individuals also who are leading the nation. Former President Rawlings went into the gutters to clear up. He went around to check flood-prone areas. We had our leaders flying helicopters to check. It's basically been the same story over and over again. Our problems are not new. Our problems are recurring. The magnitude slightly different. So at some point, we need to have that very strong conversation. And the starting point will be to look at what the Greater Accra Regional Minister has indicated the coordinating council intends to do. Would ask questions that, is this the final say that we'll have at this point in time, where we come together as a nation and decide that we want to deal with the issue of our city planning once and for all? I have had cause to say this week that the emotional, political, economic cost that a nation bears when we pull down an unauthorized structure is far more than the cost that will bear in preventing that structure from coming up in the first place, because you're going to render a family homeless. You're going to render a child without a roof under to sleep. That child has basically lost the access to a stable home where they can grow. And we would make the argument that it's not the fault of the state. But yes, the state authorities, multiple state authorities from the assembly level all the way to the national level, all saw a building springing up. Houses are not more like the bean plants in the famous cartoon that we all grew up watching, that they can just, all of a sudden you plant them and they just spring up surprisingly. And so it's a big problem that we have to deal with. We'd also take you to Afajato South, where they are having some serious challenges with water, because people don't have access to water. They fail to rely on small pots of water that gather in various parts of the floor when it rains. And that is what they are using. We'll hear from our correspondent in the Volta region who has been covering this particular story for us. And we'll also hear from officials on what is being done about the situation. But before we do all of that, Kukiti will be stepping out. I don't know what she's going to do. Kukiti is here. He'll be telling us what she'll be going to do. Good morning. It's great to see you.
We're making a few rounds this morning. You've been talking about the floods. I've been enjoying your commentary on it, and we've seen the disaster that it has caused. This morning, going around the East Legon Hills, there's a place called Nanakrum. We saw the devastation yesterday, and when you take a look at the first glance, you think it's a construction site, but no, that's not construction going on. I'm sure from the back, Shadrach and Anita can put the videos out there for us to see. If you see the filth, and if you see the indiscipline with the buildings in unauthorized places, it would shock you. What's going on in that vicinity is unthinkable. And I think I agree with Lindo Klu right now that now it's time for disciplinary measures to be taken. If you've built in a waterway, get ready to lose your building, because it cannot be there. And that 1st January ban on plastics, I wish it was even today, because if you see the amount of plastics that has choked the gutters and preventing the water from flowing freely in that vicinity, it would blow your mind. I'm coming to Nanakom this morning. So all residents of Nanakom who've been affected by the rains yesterday, be on standby for me. Let's get into a conversation. Let's talk about exactly what we can do, because Akable, I don't know if between desilting, dredging, and collapsing on unauthorized buildings, between these three, I don't know which can solve the problem immediately. Yeah, because there must be an immediate solution.
I think immediately it will be a temporary relief for people in specific areas. But there has to be a more coordinated and substantive approach, because there's a water system that, and recently the officials went around. It starts from debris area. It flows all the way down.
Yes.
So no matter what demolition you do at any stage in time, it only means that you create a relief at some point.
So it means the waterways you're talking about have been blocked. I think I was listening to Engineer Mahama talking about it, and he said there are about 18 waterways that have been blocked in this country. And until we take care of them, there would still be flooding that we are experiencing. But it's really sad to know that 11 years on, we're still going through. Because June 3rd was 11 years ago. And after 11 years, also on June 3rd, we had rains in this country, and then we had the building collapse as well. It's just amazing. Let's take the visuals from Nanakrum, where I am visiting this morning. So this is supposed to be a big gutter, which is supposed to help the free flow of water. But just take a look at what is happening currently. So that's the situation in Nanakrum now. I want the video, I want the video to get to this part where, look at, this is not even debris, because debris is when there's a building collapse or there's something and then there's the remnants of it or what is left of it. But this one, I don't even know if I should describe, Akable, what's the proper description of this thing? Because this is not debris.
This one is
filth.
Basically
this is indiscipline. This is, I mean, I just cannot tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The same thing happens at this area, Domi Pillar 2. Domi Pillar 2, yes, there is a bridge there as well, where the water moves under the bridge. And anytime it rains, the water takes over the bridge. So the day we covered the Adentan building collapse, when I came back to the office and I was going back home around 4 a.m., it was still raining. So I was using that side. When I got to the bridge was flooded. So I couldn't use the bridge. And there was a lot of filth just like this on both ends of the road and everything. So I had to turn around and go and use a completely different part of town. And so what this means is that the filth it means that the water will not be flowing as it ought to flow.
It cannot flow,
Then-
so it's ending up in people's homes
that's
and
one,
offices.
That's one problem.
Uh-huh.
The second part of the problem is the silt, the sand that
Yes.
is also within
So we
the...
need to desilt. Is a problem in this country. And you see, you're not only seeing tiny bits and pieces of plastics, you're actually seeing gallons. Because you know those dispenser gallons, right?
Yes.
I'm seeing many. So it means that what? When we are disposing of refuse, where do we take them?
No,
Or what do we do?
there are some of them. There's a video recently.
Look at the gallons.
Yes, there's a video recently of a woman somewhere here in Accra when it was raining and they just started pouring the
I've talked about
rubbish.
this from
Yes.
last week, and
So
I actually gave it
sometimes
a
it's
warning
not-
to people.
Yes, it's not necessary.
You see?
Uh-huh.
Look at what somebody's doing. And you can, you know what, it's just too much indiscipline. And the president was right when he said it, that it's not structural integrity issues that we are having in this country alone. It's a matter of indiscipline. And until we stop the indiscipline, well, we'll be going through flooding perennially, year on, year out. And this is what's going to be happening from May to June or July, or even sometimes August every year. Something must be done about it anyway. So yeah, I'm on my way to Nanakom this morning. I'll engage with stakeholders and community members, and hopefully I'm able to come back to studio so you and I can Jojo and talk about it when I return. But what are we talking about for the big issue?
The big issue, we'll stay with the flooding issue.
Okay.
We'll have a conversation about what can be done in the short, medium, and long
The
term
10-year
to deal
flood
with this
mitigation
once and for all. I
development
mean,
plan.
it's a conversation that we have to have because, like we're saying, what we are doing so far, it's just here and there. I mean, it has to be a broader plan. So that is an issue that we'll touch on as well. What else do you think we should talk about?
I think we should talk about Okomfanoche and what is going
Okay.
on, their inability to admit more emergency cases, because as a 31-bed capacity, there's an overflow of 61 right now. And I'm sure there's even more. But intelligently, I was speaking to one of the contestants for Toppington 2 days ago, and she had a brilliant idea that there are other hospitals which are not as busy as Okomfanoche. Why are you turning people around? Don't turn them around. Why can't we engage all these other little hospitals or clinics to be able to take care of all these people? Because if you've got health attendants or health experts to take care of them, then dispatch them from Okomfanoche and the rest to go and take care of these emergency cases. It made so much sense to me. And if stakeholders are really thinking about solving this problem, I think these are some of the emergency measures that we need to consider.
Yeah.
Because some clinics and hospitals are literally empty. There's nobody there. But if you've got the facilities at least to move around to be able to cater to emergency cases, then why are we turning people around? Are we turning them around to just go and die home, or we can do better? That's the question we're asking this morning. So I think that can be a second topic to look at
Absolutely.
for the big issue.
Absolutely.
All right. We're getting ready for this morning. There's a little village that you mentioned, and it will shock you to know that my auntie and my cousin are actually on their way to a funeral in that same community. That's where they used to live, and they used to experience the same problem. And many years on, it's still happening in that area. We'll go to the other side, and we'll activate the phone line so you can also have your say. But Faisal Idrisu was the one who put that package together. We'll take a look at it soon. We'll be right back.
That is how long 16-year-old Beatrice has been lying here, waiting for Mother Earth to give her water. The only source of water in the community is not a tap, but a sip, a shallow hole scrapped into the earth at the foot of the mountain. Water trickles in drop by drop, and families wait hours for one bucket. This is the only water we have here in the community. Sometimes we come, wait in queues for hours before we are able to get some water home, and it delays us from going to school. We are always late. You come here sometimes, you don't even find the water at all, and that means you have to wait. The situation has become a daily routine for residents of Nyangbokonda, a farming community in the Fajato South district. Water is our major problem here. Sometimes we go there and wait for hours. Visitors are here, they can't get water. This morning, I went there, waited for hours, but I couldn't get any, so I came back. It is frustrating.
The other time last week, I went there around 10 p.m.
I came home around 3:30 a.m. to 4 a.m. It was something that is really, really bad. I slept there. I slept over there with some of the kids. Some people from the community too were there. So just because I'm a teacher, they decided to allow me to fetch my own. If not, definitely I would have come home maybe in the morning around 8 a.m. to 9.
In 2015, a modern mechanized water system was built in a bid to address the persistent water crisis. But that has since broken down.
These pipelines exposed from the earth are evidence of the efforts made in the past to provide water for the community. These pipelines extended water to vantage points where standpipes were erected for residents here to access water. Unfortunately, it has since broken down, and for years, nothing has been done to revamp it.
Nationally, water coverage stands at approximately 74% for rural communities as against 96% for urban areas. This translates into seasonal shortages, contamination risk, and reliance on unsafe sources for many rural communities. But for Nyangbo-Konda, authorities in the district say efforts are underway to revamp the broken water system.
The community water system is broken down at the moment. We have actually awarded it to a contractor who will move to site by next week and get that problem fixed for them. I'm sure that by the time the contractor fixes the problem for them, they'll have water flowing to every corner of
Under the Afajato South MP's community water project, other communities with similar water issues are receiving water.
The mantle has been given to us. Ours now is to deliver, and we are in the process of delivering. We are no longer campaigning. And so almost every community that previously do not have safe water, we are going the extra mile, and doing projects of this nature.
For Beatrice, however, another day means another 2 hours of lying on the ground, laboring and tests. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, TV3 News, Afajato South.
Yes, and that's been the plight of residents of Nyangbo-Konda who've been battling water accessibility for a very, very long time. And our correspondent, Faisal Abdul Idrisu, is on the telephone lines this morning. And we also are going to be speaking to either the MCE or the MP for the area. But as we're watching the video, I asked, should this be a story in 2026?
Unfortunately, it is. I mean, it is what it is. And sometimes when I can imagine if someone is, from a different, developed and advanced country and he's watching this story, right? This sounds so weird that they don't have access to water. I mean, it's a bit embarrassing, but it's a reality. It's a reality that we have to confront, and we have to be fair to ourselves that despite the fact that we are in a modern era, there are old challenges that still confront us, and the best we can do as a society is always to try and address them. And it's the reason why we are having this conversation. The aim is to try and figure out how to find a way around it. Faisal is ready. Cookie, take this.
Yes. Faisal, good morning if you can hear us.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well, yourself?
We're great by the grace of God. Now, for those of us who want to vividly understand geographically where this place is, I heard you say around the Afajato area, and the name of this village is called Nyangbo-Konda. Are we correct?
Yeah, Nyangbo-Konda is in the Afajato South District, and this is one of the communities found on the mountains. You know that area is the mountainous zone. So to get to the community, it's not an easy one. It's about 4 kilometers from the top down to the foot of the hill. So to get to the community, you have to climb the hill to the top of the mountain.
Okay. And how long did you say this problem has persisted?
So this issue of water challenge in Nyangbo-Konda has been an age-long one, except that in 2015, a mechanized water system was built for the community. And it lasted for a few years and then broke down. And between that period and now, they have reversed to fetching water from the source I indicated. The scoop holes, they themselves have dug at the foot of the mountain. When you are entering the community, that is the site that even greets you before you enter the community, because you see people with headpans, people with bowls standing at the foot of the mountain, just waiting in queue to fill one bucket at a point. And it takes such a long time to do one at a time. And so that's the site that even greets you before you enter the community. Okay.
All right. And I'm told we also have the MP on Zoom with us this morning, Honorable Frank Efriye. Honorable, if you can hear us, please respond good morning as we greet you at the moment. Honorable, if you can unmute, we'll be very, very happy.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Honorable. How are you doing?
I'm great by the grace of God.
All right. Honorable, with all due respect, water is a very basic necessity for all your constituents and all the people around where you lead. Are you disappointed that in 2026, your people are still struggling for water?
Well, I thank you so much for the opportunity given.
Right.
And indeed, I've become the MP for the good people of Afajato South, including Nyangbokonda, in a matter of 1 year, 6 months. And then within the context of that, we can have a very meaningful discussion. And then within this period, I have, on my own accord as a member of parliament, drilled and mechanized 15 boreholes. And so it tells you that I am someone who has come to the fore or to the office acknowledging that water is life and that there is the need for clean, safe, potable water at all times in order to make sure that life goes on. But I think the uniqueness of the problem as we have in Nyangbokonda lies in the fact that it is not just an ordinary community. It is one of those communities that are lying up the mountain, that is the Equapim Range. And you know the water table, a community that lies about 600 to 700 meters above sea level. So ordinarily, if you go to other communities that are on the ground level, you just have to drill about 100 meters and then you come across water. And a community lies 600 to 700 meters up. So we have made some effort to, as it were, drilled borehole for them, and in many cases it's been unsuccessful. Now, it was just during one occasion when I was the party chairman that the community itself, through the initiative of one of their own, who is a technician, that they decided to drill another borehole at where the SIP is. And at that point, they were successful. But yet again, it's about 500 meters away from the community itself. So the question is, how do they get the water to the community? Then they innovated by lifting it with a pump into some receptacles up the top of the community again, so that with the use of gravity, the water could now descend to various homes for the use by household. So it put sometimes enormous pressure on electricity bill and the submersible pump that they use as well. So you could insert a pump today, in a matter of some few weeks or months, then the pump, will go out of use. So these are being the cyclical problem. So they again drill another borehole, this time a bit closer to the community. They were successful. But yet again, there was iron deposit in this water as well. And once iron reacts to oxygen, and it's a matter of water, then the water turns brownish. And so then came the discussion that we must have water a purification system. And so once the submersible pump lifts the water from this particular second borehole, it sends it to yet another receptacle with the help of another pump. Then it sends it through the distillation system or the purification system. And so all I'm trying to let you know is that it's a bit complex.
Right.
the gravity of it lies in the fact that the geographical location of the community itself is not as ordinary as any other community. But
Right.
myself and the district chief executive, we have got a new contractor with a new system that they have assured us that they'll be moving into the community anytime soon to try, so that this time, once they are able to get water in a very sustainable way, then I think that we will be solving the Nyangbo-Konda problem, in a 360-degree fashion.
Honorable, in your, I was listening carefully, but I am not sure. I stand for correction, though. I'm not sure I heard any collaboration between you and the Ghana Water Company or even the Ministry of Works and Housing. Are they aware of this situation? Have you engaged them? And if you have, what is the response you received?
Okay, so ordinarily, if you are aware of the distance we are talking about, even the distance from the nearest community downhill to Nyangbo-Konda itself, I believe your correspondent can feed you in. And so already the pressure we get in terms of supply system from the Bebe water headworks itself is not enough. And so you do not need a record scientist to tell you that with that kind of pressure, you will not be able to get the water uphill. Unless, of course, we have a new Ghana water subsystem, which will be designated specifically for this community. However, I think we are looking at issues, and as leaders, we should have a short-term, medium, and a long-term, mechanism of solving problem. And the Ghana water system could be a long-term and most sustainable and durable one. But in the interim, we think that what could offer us a low-hanging opportunity to address this is the system we have embraced.
Honorable, I can imagine the difficulty. I've got some family members who live around and they can attest to the fact that this is a huge challenge. Infrastructurally, you're going through, or there's a challenge with that one. Do you think that more funding, if you had access to it, will solve this problem?
I think that we must say that, look, Oliver Twist is never 100% satisfied. However, if you look at the common fund allocation, as we had 8 years ago, under His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, you compare to what we are receiving under His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, I think we must not, as leaders, make excuse for lack of funding. His Excellency President Mahama has been magnanimous to us, not only at Fajato, but the various district assembly. I'm a member of the Local Government and Rural Development Committee in Parliament. And if you compare the quantum leap in terms of resource allocation, I think that we should be gracious enough to say thank you to the President. And so ours now as leaders at the base is to make judicious utilization of these funds. And I think that this is what we are determined to do. If you look at what I've been able to do in a matter of a year and 6 months at the water subsector alone, it gives you a certain inclination that leadership at the base is determined to ensure that basic necessities. I heard your aunties and the rest, they'll come for funeral and the rest. Look, if I may digress a bit, this is a community where sometimes during the peak of the rainy season, even how to ferry the debt to the community is a nightmare. But you realize that we have sent contractors to the road, and the contractors are busily working. And I have that abiding faith in His Excellency that we are really going to put a very shining finishing to that job, so that the road is itself okay. It's a way of partly, addressing the water problem, because they are inextricably, linked. So I think that give us a few moments, we'll collaborate with the stakeholders, the chiefs, their resourceful citizens from the community. When we have this discussion in a matter of months, I believe that we should be addressing it.
I believe so too. But let's shift our concentration to education. How worried are you about the youth and the children in your constituency? Because in the footages, we see them queuing up and waiting their turn to fetch water. And from the reportage that Abdul also sent through, most of them turn up late for school, or they do not even show up at all. There was another teacher who would go and queue for as long as 4 hours before he can get a little water to just take a shower and go to school. And sometimes, because he's a teacher, he's given preference. How worrying is this to you, Honorable?
Yes, it's a worry. I mean, the issue of the water difficulty to school children is almost the same worry as we have, the women and all of this. They are all going through this difficulty. So I think that resolving it will be a respite, offering a relief to all segments of the community. However, you would have heard the teacher mention that he was giving preferential treatment.
Yeah.
It is to tell you that the people acknowledge the significance of education. And they know that, look, even though they all need water, the one who imparts knowledge, the one who teaches their children, should be given that topmost priority. Likewise, the children, in some cases, they are also given priority, but we are still mounting the education so that the few who do not, as it were, prioritize the need for education, they will do so. But if you look at the results, sometimes, surprisingly, communities that are dotted among them along the mountain, they turn out invariably to do well. So at the grade level, education and performance has always been an issue because you could not compare on any scale, be it nominal or ordinal. The attention we give to our folks, our children in the cities compared to the village has always been an issue. So we'll be able to tackle it.
Honorable, we thank you for your time this morning, but your constituents are watching. What specific timelines would you want to give this morning so that their hearts can be at rest?
As soon as possible.
Honorable, because, as soon as possible is not really specific.
My dear, the truth of the matter is that we are dealing with forces of nature here.
Okay.
So we have sent a good number of contractors who couldn't discover water. And so this one is a mere human promise that he will be able to do or go the extra mile to get us water. And so if I give timeline of, let's say, 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, and he goes in and we are unable to discover this water, I will be a liar. And I'm a very clean politician. I'm sure you would have been told. So if you are successful, I can give you assurance that you will be able to call me to tell me that, you have done this thing as early as we have even imagined.
Honorable, but your constituents are asking that if you are unable to give a specific timeline, because of course nature is also a challenge to you in that constituency, how about sending water tankers to distribute water, maybe even on weekends to send some relief to your constituents?
I think that is one of the thought-provoking suggestions. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the road until now, such tankers, such tipper trucks, you need to find out how the folks in the community get shipping, sand, and the rest to construct their homes or their houses. It's a tall order, So because of the nature, the steepness of the mountain itself, heavy vehicles are often unable to climb, and so you've spoken well. On very rare occasion, we should be able to organize, water tankers, as it were, to intervene. If I recall properly, it's just on one occasion that the Ghana National Fire Service was successful in getting their fire tenders to the community where there was a fire outbreak. And so I'll be monitoring the situation. During the rainy season, I think that water levels are generally high. And so the community doesn't fight for, or the scarcity of water is not as intense as, during the dry season. And I think that your correspondent, your hardworking phaser, went to that community during almost the peak of the dry season. So now that we have had a bit of rainfall, I believe that the situation has ameliorated a bit. And then So we'll be able to do water tanker intervention as and when it's become very critical now that the road is being attended to, and we can safely say that.
Honorable, we thank you for your time this morning. It doesn't look like there's some respite in sight immediately, but hopefully at the end of the day, we'll get some relief for the people in Nyangbo Konda. Thank you so much, Honorable, for your time. Faisal, are you still on the line, or we can say goodbye to you?
Cookie, I'm here.
Faisal, good job on what you've brought our attention to, and it's a huge challenge, even from the description alone that we are receiving, especially about the road. But the Honorable Minister mentioned, MP mentioned that it's the rainy season. What's the situation like for residents? Are they getting water? Are they storing water through the rains?
Yeah, so yesterday I spoke with one of the community leaders, and he told me that the situation is much better given the fact that it is raining regularly now. So they are depending on rainwater for now. The other issue which the MP talked about is the state of the road. I did a story on the road just about last week. It played last week. It's a quite terrible situation, but there's an improvement. The contractor is on site.
He mentioned, yeah.
So yes, so a lot is being done in terms of the road. But Cookie, the issue of water is not just a Konda issue. Across the region, people are facing water challenges. Even in the capital, Ho, where they depend on the Kwebe headworks. You know, quite recently, there was this issue of people encroaching onto the buffer zone around the Kwebe headworks. It's affecting production. And for a year, since last year, January till now, water supply to residents in Ho and households has been a major issue. Households get water once in a while. Some get it once in 3 months. Some get it once in a week, and all of that. So it's a major issue. Then, quite recently, just about 2 weeks ago, there was a story about a school in the whole municipality, the Volta Technical Institute, where school children, the students are fetching water from the gutters. And that is what they are using to wash. That is what they are bathing. The students were telling me how they have developed skin rashes because of the state of the water they use. I am told just yesterday again that the national security has moved into the school and are doing some underground work to augment the water supply in the area, because already the community and sanitation agency has installed a water supply system for them, except that all the pipes linked to it are broken down. There's only one that is working, so students are not able to have water. They have to move to the roadside to fetch water from the gutters and all of this. And so the issue of water supply, particularly across the Volta region, is a major issue. The national figure stands at 74.4%. I am yet to get from the community and sanitation agency how much of water, in terms of percentage, is applied to the residents and population in the Volta region. Then we begin to look at the conversation from that perspective, in terms of numbers, in terms of population, and all of that. So it's a major issue across the region, and it will not end with Nyangbo Konda. And I am much impressed because I have gone to some of the communities in Apajato South, and I've seen what the MP is already doing in terms of providing water to some of the communities. I hope they commit to doing this, and I'm sure with time we should be away from the challenges of water and be focusing on something else.
Okay. Faisal, thank you very much. Continue your good works in the Volta region, especially regarding accessibility of water. You mentioned a few areas and some numbers. Please confirm them, keep them coming, and in the coming days, we'll come back to you again and see if there's any improvement at all. Faisal Abdul Idrisu is our Volta regional correspondent who's been talking to us about accessibility of water, even in 2026 in the Volta region. And this morning, the concentration was on Nyangbo Konda. It's a constituency in the Afajato region of Ghana here in the Volta region. Well, we've got a few messages to read before we take a break. This one is from Chachu Chikata Jr., quite a lengthy one. I'll try and read it. It says, in fact, the frequent flooding issues in our various regions, especially Accra, are acts of indiscipline, particularly the indiscriminate disposal of waste and the manner in which buildings are constructed. Recently, we witnessed some demolitions in the national capital, and we saw 38.2% of people using it for campaign purposes. We have to put jokes aside and take strategic and strict actions to solve the flooding problem in Accra, because it is becoming scary. I believe that under President John Dramani Mahama's leadership, it can be done, all right? It's sad to see Nyangbo Konda residents drawing water from a pit looking at the Honorable Minister's speech. I'm confident that this problem will be solved with immediate effect. Says water is basic. Chachuchikata Jr. sent in that one. Do you have any messages to read?
Not at this point in time.
Prince Henry Koforidia says, good morning, Cookie. We are part of our own problems. We are watching the video on the screen with rubbish stack and choking the gutters is very sad. We create the problems and turn around to blame government. Aziz Donla, good morning to you as well. Okay, Aziz didn't send a message, but he was saying good morning. If you don't have any, let me check on our Facebook page. Okay, Irakwa Richard Aipe says that Ghana should install mesh barriers at short strategic points along our drains and assign responsibility for each section. This will intercept solid waste, prevent clogged gutters, and strengthen flood control and sanitation efforts. He says, bring back Operation Clean Your Frontage. The current system is failing and our communities are being engulfed by filth after every rainfall. Such a measure will promote civic responsibility and help curb the habit of dumping rubbish into gutters. Okay, I think that will be it for this morning. And Komola Genya is asking, is it not possible for Ghana Water to run pipes from the Volta region, which is not far from Kwevie, to that community? Well, it's a question you're asking. AIHD also says shortage of water has also hit some parts of Chito, Awudome over a month now. MP Kwesi Bejra comes from Chito. Honorable MP, Honorable Bejra, your people are calling on you to solve that problem for them. Sherry Giovanni says, in as much as I appreciate what the MP is doing, I think they do not have any concrete solutions for Nyangbukonda. It seems to me that his reason is since the community is high above sea level, there's nothing they can do. Well, he talked about the road construction by that contractor who is on site right now. So hopefully after the road construction, the challenge should ease up a little bit. Thank you to all of you who sent in messages. Agbubila says, with a warm heart, I want to thank all the staff of St. Luca's Catholic Hospital, Wiga, in the Busila North for their dedication and passion in saving life with the little resources at their disposal. God bless them all. And it's from their acting administrator. All right, we take a break now, but reminding you to pack up your day with a rich, smooth taste of a Peck Milk Shortcake. It's available everywhere in this country. Get some for yourself and your family as well. Now, the highly anticipated GMB at 20 Royal Bowl, originally which was scheduled for 6th of June, tomorrow, has been rescheduled to 2nd August 2026. We assure all our distinguished guests and cherished viewers that the Royal Ball be an unforgettable evening of culture, elegance, and legacy. We look forward to welcoming you on the 2nd of August 2026, which is a Sunday. It will be a great day. I will be co-hosting alongside other powerful hosts here at Media General. Thank you so much for your attention. We'll take a break now. When we come back, the big issue will be right here on TV3 Newday.
Thank you for staying with us here on New Day on TV3. It's time for another big issue. We'll start off with a discussion about the flood situation that we've had to be confronted with as a country. It's a familiar story. We basically discuss it around this time of the year all the time. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. We'll talk about it until it is fixed once and for all. And I remember one of the very first assignments I covered when I switched from campus journalism into mainstream journalism some years back. It had to do with a flooding situation around Circle and its environs. And I went there, I did a story about how it's very close to, there's this hotel, when you are going towards Circle proper, very close to Paloma Hotel, there's a bridge just before the hotel. That bridge was completely flooded. Just after the bridge too, there were some homes along that drainage, that gutter that had basically, the whole place was flooded. So I went around, in and around all those places. I did a story. I went to the Circle proper itself, to parts of it was also flooded. I did that story. Then I remember a couple of days later, the Interior Minister at the time, Prosper Bunny, went on a tour. I was asked to join the tour. We went around. We looked at various parts of the country. We went all the way to the Westland areas, mainly the channel that the water flows from the Bray area and comes all the way down south. So we traced the channels and saw how parts of it had been taken over, waterways had been built on by people and everything. And I remember a famous statement he made was that we're going to crack down, we're going to deal with people who are built along the waterways, we're going to put down the structures and all of that. I mean, subsequently, you also all remember that famous video of the former president standing by, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo standing by the Odo drain at the Circle Point, talking about where a hydrologist was briefing him about what the plan was, how they were going to transform that particular drain and ensure that there were boats and canoes and all of those things moving on it to deal with the situation there. It's a bit of story all over the place. And this time of the year, we all see the newspaper clippings. Earlier I made reference to the newspaper clippings from the 60s with the Nkrumah touring flood-affected areas. And so it's a very familiar story that we are well aware of. And some of the incidents I made reference to happened under Mahama 1. We are now under Mahama 2. And the current president, John Dramani Mahama, has been talking about the flood situation once again. Let's take a listen to him.
Problem is a problem of indiscipline. We have drains, and everybody says, why don't you do sealed drains? But the problem is when we do sealed drains, people drink sachet water, they eat papaya in those styrofoam plastics, and they just dump them anywhere. And these plastics wash into the drain, and they go and block the drain. And so if you have to unclog the drain, you have to remove all the drain covers and clean it out. You clean it out, you cover it again. In the next 3, 4, 5 months, they have clogged again. But that is not even the major problem. The major problem is the location of Accra. You have the Kwapim mountain range and you have the Atlantic Ocean. Before people came to Accra, you had the Lafa stream, you had the Densu, you had the Sakumo stream, you had the Kole stream, you had the Odo stream. All of them were rainwater that falls in the mountains that flow through to the Atlantic Ocean. Then you come and build a city in the path of those streams. What do you expect the streams to do? And even if you build, leave the causeways. If you come to London, you see the canals in the city. If you go and build a house in that canal, where will the water go? It will go back into people's houses. Unfortunately, Nana Misremu, our traditional rulers are selling plots in streams. It's not this Nananuma I'm talking about. We have places they call Ramsar sites. These Ramsar sites are wetlands. And they said that migratory birds come from Europe during the winter. They come and spend vacation with us in Africa. Then when they finish the vacation and it's summer, they fly back. and decided to protect the Ramsar sites because of the migratory birds. But let me tell you what the Ramsar sites do. They are wetlands. So when they receive the water from the Kwapim mountain range, the Ramsar sites are huge wetlands. So they absorb the water into the wetlands and discharge the water gradually into the ocean. So if you build and you fill and build, you fill and build, you fill and build, you are reducing the size of the Ramsar site, of the wetland. And so when the water comes, what is left cannot contain the water. And so it will overflow and flood people's houses. I've seen from the air, helicopter, a stream coming from the Kwapim range, and then it reaches somewhere.
That's President John Dramani Mahama speaking there. It was actually in the United Kingdom where he was speaking, hence the reference that it's not an anonym there. But it's not just the chiefs who are selling the lands, because, you know, lands are owned just not by the two. Families also own lands, so they also sell lands all over the place. And he makes reference to the water pathway that I had also talked about earlier on. Last year, the president actually set up an anti-flood task force, which was to be led by Stan Dogbe, the Deputy Chief of Staff. This was in March 2025. It's a story that you can find on 3news.com. President John Dramani Mahama has renewed his commitment to addressing Accra's perennial flooding challenges with the formation of a 7-member anti-flood task force to tackle the problem head-on. The task force is chaired by Deputy Chief of Staff Operations, Mr. Stanislav Dogbe. Began its work on Wednesday, March 12, 2025. It's a comprehensive assessment of flood-prone areas across the capital. The task force assured Ghanaians of their resolve to identify sustainable engineering solutions to prevent future flooding disasters. And so key government officials that were part of this particular team included the Minister for Water Resources, Kenneth Gilbert Ejay. There was also the Minister for Local Government as well, Minister for Works and Housing, the National Security Coordinator, Deputy Director General for NADMO, and the legal counsel to the President, as well also as serve secretary to the task force. And so 1 year on, obviously, we're still having a flooding situation there. So it raises questions about the extent of work that they did and what has been the impact so far. But the context is that it's been a problem that we've had from way back, and that's why it started from the 1960s that we've seen the newspaper clippings. It's been a problem that has always existed. And maybe we would also talk about the impact on the roads now, also a big aspect of the conversation that we need to say. And earlier on I was making reference to the fact that some of our very modern recent roads are also being flooded. I use the Ofanko Pokwasi road, the one that has the new interchange, and parts of it gets flooded as well. This is a road that is virtually even under construction. In terms of the entire stretch, it's even still under construction. And so it's a very recent road. It's a very recent road. We can also make reference to the N1, where parts also still get flooded as well. And I made reference earlier on to the road in front of the Jubilee House, from 37 to the Jubilee House, on Wednesday, when we're returning from covering the Adentan housing building collapse. When we were coming, it was raining heavily. In front of Jubilee House, the main road was flooded completely. From 37 to Jubilee House was flooded completely. And that it's a big problem. So you can imagine other parts of the country, other parts of the capital where we don't even have roads in the first place. The thing about most of the roads is that it comes with drainage. So you can imagine a situation where there are no roads in the first place. It's just purely a pathway that people use. You can imagine what is happening. And that's why we brought you the visuals from Nana Krum as well. We also know of the Kaswa one, the Malam Junction area as well, also completely flooded when it rains. Then from Malam Junction, we know, I've even forgotten the name of that area. You have the water bringing down the sand all over the road. Virtually, the two-lane road, it's a two-lane road towards the West Hills Mall when you're coming from Kaswa and when you're going towards Kaswa. One part of the road, the one that comes towards Accra, when it rains, it's completely flooded. And they now have to use the other side of the road. It's been happening for many, many years now, and it's a big problem. And so that's why we are having this important conversation, just to see how we can deal with this once and for all. And my guest in the studio this morning, as usual, the Friday team, Kamaldeen Abdullah is with the New Patriotic Party, Deputy Communications Director. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, Kwame Jantua is a lawyer, is with the Convention People's Party, energy analyst as well. Good morning, Senior. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
For joining us. I think you've not been around for a bit.
Yes, I haven't been around for a bit because of my sister's funeral. And if I may use this platform,
yes, you can,
to thank the Chief of Staff and members of Flagstaff House, Marita Brew, the former Finance Minister, Sektepe, all attended. Very grateful. I'd like to thank the MPP, who also were fully present, led by Eugene Entry. I'd also like to thank the NDC, who were also present, and most of all, I'd like to thank my own party, CPP, and Menchia, brought chiefs from Menchia to the funeral, and all Ghanaians who supported us. It was a difficult funeral in terms of relationships, but all these people helped us do the funeral, and as a family, we are grateful to everybody. May we thank them.
Our condolences to you and the family once again for your loss. Also in the studio with us, Abraham Amalemba is Director General, National Road Safety Authority, a lawyer as well with the National Democratic Congress. Senior, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you and to your viewers. Tomorrow is Father's Day, I think.
No.
When?
Father's 21st, I think.
21st?
Yes.
I've heard some commentaries about fathers not being appreciated, and that we need to appreciate our fathers.
Which is true.
And that an old man once told me that if you are waiting for your wife to tell your children to appreciate you, it will be difficult. So what you should do is whatever you are doing for the children, let them know. So if you are giving your wife money, give it to the children to go and give it to him. Give it to her rather, so that they will observe. Else some women will just keep your efforts under covers, and the children will get up and think that you have not done anything for them. So this is advice for the young and coming husbands, that if you want your children or your child to know that you've contributed to his upkeep, involve the children. And when they grow up, they will know that their father has also appreciated them.
Father's Day this year will be marked on 21st of June. I think it will be a Sunday also. So we'll celebrate all our fathers as well on that day. And that's the message from Abraham Amalemba there. And maybe let me start the conversation with you because of where you sit, Road Safety Authority. There is a part of the conversation that we need to have. On the same Wednesday night when I was going back home, I sometimes I avoid the main roads when it's very late. So I was using the Domi Pillar area, and I got to a part of Domi Pillar 2. There is a bridge there. I've seen a video of the Works and Housing Minister and the MP for the area go to that bridge and talk about it very recently. When I got there, it had basically stopped raining, but the bridge was completely flooded, and so I had to turn around and find an alternative road. I mean, around this period, our roads are virtually unsafe as well. We've seen cars being washed off. We've seen cars falling into ditches just because they are covered and everything. That presents a whole different challenge for us in terms of safety on our roads.
Accra, by nature, is a low-lying area. And if you want to know whether this statement is true or not, just start driving back from Nsawam in the night and you will see Accra lying down. You will see it. If you want to know what I'm saying is true or not, start driving from Eburi daytime and you see Accra lying down. And you see after Accra, you are going into the sea. So all those waters will come and settle here and go into the sea. So Accra naturally will be prone to flooding. If you then decide to build a city in that situation, you need to engineer the city. That is all of it. But as for flooding in Accra, it is prone to flooding. It is bound to happen. Per my description. This is where it collects and then it will go into the sea. Now, if you then want to use it as a city, you have to engineer the town, which we have failed. We have abused Accra. I just read a piece from a friend of mine, a brother of mine, Ricky Kasisi, a very smart, intelligent guy. Sometimes I say he's older than me, he says I'm older than him. But he says that in Accra, there are 4 festivals, or is it 3? Every year we celebrate them. We celebrate Homo, we celebrate Chalewoti, we celebrate Christmas, we also celebrate Festival of Floods, and I couldn't agree with him more. This matter, this discussion we are having, is déjà vu for me. I have discussed sometimes, some of the discussions are done when we actually drive into the rain and come here. Today's life is better. We have had it several times. Déjà vu. You know? Flooding in Accra is older than Accra, is older than the country. Because 1930s, that's when flooding started. But it became more serious in 1955. Check. So, what have we done? Regulators have failed us. Regulators. Here, town and country planning, district assemblies have failed us. Those of us living in Accra have failed Accra. All of us here can cite areas where, when it rains, the water collects there. And that's the home. What people don't know is that that's the home of the water. That's the home. The home of animals is in the forest. The home of waters, when it falls, is those places. That's their home too. That's why you find the bears, those white bears, hovering around there. They live with those people there. The water lives with them. You get my point? Now, the way water is, those who have survived an attempt by water to carry them away would support or confirm what I'm saying. The way water is, when you take away its home, like I'm describing that as their home, it will come back with vengeance. To come back with vengeance. Because it's like an elephant. It doesn't forget the MPP. It's a wicked thing. You see? It's like vengeance. It will come back with vengeance. And that's why when MPP take over power, the whole country is hot. You know? They dismantle everything, they grab everything, the whole country is hot.
You're talking about the water still, right?
Yes, and veering into very important matters.
He has an able panel to respond to him.
Now, what we are seeing yesterday, the day before yesterday, some people got home around 1 a.m. That's when they finally were able to enter their rooms. No. So, regulators and the president mentioned chiefs who are selling these lands, we ourselves, we those who live in Accra, we know the place is a marshy area, it's a waterlogged area, it is a place that you don't have to build your house. We go and buy it and build. So we are also involved. I think we've gotten to a point. I don't know whether that will solve it, but that is just for me to see how we can make our city better. But the point that we have gotten to, we have dismantled everything. Look, there are what we call these things, storm drains. Storm drains. That was part of the colonial engineering of the city. We've built on storm drains. We've built on them, we've dismantled them. So where do you expect the water to go? The water will come back to your houses. The water will come back to your rooms. So for me, the flooding is not a problem. The problem is we ourselves. Two things that Ghanaians or some Ghanaians are noted for: indiscipline and hypocrisy. Two things. These two things, if we are able to exercise them, Ghana will be free. Look, can you imagine this Mavoxy thing I'm talking about? When we met operators to discuss those matters with them, one got up and said that is where they get their income to take care of their children. You know my response to that person? I said, you are even alive and you are interested in your livelihood. Some people's breadwinners are under the soil. He kept quiet. You are not supposed to bring in a right-hand drive into the country. You're not supposed to change from left to right, or right to left rather. Then you defy all that and bring the car in. Regulators are talking. They say we should leave it like that. Some will even be threatening you with votes. Indiscipline. And this indiscipline is encapsulated into lawlessness. That's what I mean. So, the matters we are seeing can be resolved if we all come to the agreement that let's do things right. I heard a regional minister when I was coming that they are going to pull down houses. I admit that she has been doing that already. But this call now is belated. It's an afterthought. You know? Can we do things rightly? And let whoever is going to dismiss you, and let the people know that it's because of this I am doing that they are going to dismiss me. When you are put at a place, you are put there to bring about changes, to work and bring about changes. So regulators have failed, citizens have failed, chiefs have failed, and that is a sad commentary.
I mean, but the point I was making about the roads, I mean, it raises questions about planning, because if you are constructing a road today, I mean, logically, you should have a sense of where the water flows, what it does in constructing the drain, and whether the drain that you are constructing can deal with the volume of water. But the roads are very recent roads, and 30 minutes of rains completely flooded. Then cars have to basically struggle to move. People have to. In fact, there was one of the days I got home long after 2 a.m. because the bridge was blocked and everything.
You see, there's a saying amongst my people that if we say fire has consumed cattle, you don't ask the question whether you have found the tail of a cow. But did you find the tail of a cow? I'm saying that all these matters, including the roads, because the roads are in Accra, which is a low-lying area. Regulators have failed, engineers have failed, chiefs have failed. This is all that I'm encapsulating it. That these things are as a result of failure to plan the city, because the city already is prone. The city is not a high-lying area. The city is a low-lying area. So you must expect flooding. But people we have put in charge of these areas have failed. And it didn't start today. I've told you that this flooding precedes our independence, and we are here with it today.
So those are some visuals on your screen now. Maybe we can blow it up and let people see what's going on. I mean, virtually, so even where the drains are, you can see that they are filled with all sorts of materials there. The road is completely flooded over there as well. it's very unsafe around this period, especially when it's raining, to try and move around, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem. It's a problem that is here in Accra. If you go outside of Accra too, you can see that the items that are being moved in it as well, the plastics, all of that. Oh goodness, there's a lot of water moving over there. There's one area that I saw a video of that, and they were moving in a canoe, and the gentleman was saying that it's not in Zulezu. And a couple of days later, he actually showed a video of the same place, and the cars were moving virtually at the same place where he was in a canoe moving. This was within the Wager area, and their problem had been compounded by the opening of the dam as well. So you can see someone's home, basically, the water going in there. A very disturbing story. Let me come to Mr. Jantua now, and senior, as I have been doing journalism around 12, 13, 14 years thereabout, and I can't even remember covering this so many times. I'm sure your memories of flooding go way back, and this conversation that we've had over and over again.
Good morning to our viewers. Good morning to my brothers.
Good morning once again.
Panel. When you take a country like the Netherlands, it's below seawater, but AB hit the nail on the head. It's been engineered in such a way that you don't get flooding. When you have a country or a city like Accra, which is low-lying, it's got to do with the planning and engineering of the city. Look, from Kwame Nkrumah's time, let's say from the 60s, Kwame Nkrumah built, there was an expansion of roads, expansion of buildings, and what didn't happen? There was no expansion of development of drains concurrently with that kind of expansion. One of the major drainages that unfortunately has not been able, and none of the governments have been able to finish it, is the Nima drain, which was supposed to link into the Odo and then into the sea. During the MPP time, I think 2016, they started, but they ran out of money. And that is a major challenge. So you can see it's a cocktail of issues. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to handle it properly, especially with our spatial planning. Tema is one of the best spatial planning cities in Ghana. What's happening today? Is it not flooding? Because it's got to do with bad planning, human activity, lack of spatial planning, lack of effective storm drains, and lack of enforcement of legislation and regulation. And that's a huge challenge for us. President Mahama talks about the fact that people are saying we should cover the drains, and that can create challenges. I beg to differ with him, because you've got to cover the drains. You've got to cover it, and you cover the drains whilst you build larger gutters. Look at the gutters in the country, very small and narrow. And even when we build roads today, we still build small and narrow gutters. How does it take quantum of water? Especially when you look at the climatic change that the world is facing. So for me, it's got to do with planning. Accra started flooding from 1935 right up till today. Nearly 300,000 people have died since 35 to today where flooding is concerned. And every year, some years, and 2010 was one, 1999 and 2010 were one of the serious ones, and then June 3rd, one of the serious ones. Why aren't we sitting to plan? And this is not a political issue. Because when the floods happen, MPP supporters die, CPP supporters die, NDC supporters die, and sometimes even people who are acting in government, they also face challenges. So why aren't we sitting down to plan? Look, majority of the challenges come from us, the citizens. Government's responsibility is to do what? Is to make sure that they put money towards some of these things. But majority of the challenges come from us. When you stand by the roadside during the dry season, around Makola areas, even in certain communities, just standing watching, especially areas where they cook food and things like that. It is not the refuse bin that is there is where they throw the dirt. They come stand just shoom into the gutter. Shoom into the gutter. One thing that I'm finding very, very difficult to understand, if other countries have been able to do it, why can't we ban the use of plastics? Rwanda has done it. I think Kenya too has done it. Just because they will say employment. But we should be able to ban. Right now you see a lot of restaurants and food areas are using what? Paper bowls. The other one that others are doing in Malaysia and places like that, they are using banana leaves and plantain leaves as containers, which sometimes are reusable. So why can't we change the mindset of the way we do things? Ghanaians seem to be the kind of people who, once they stick their mind on something, yankwankwa in that direction. We don't want to sit and change, but we've got to. We don't need to reach the last point before we start changing. Why do we allow people to build houses in waterways, and then later go and demolish the houses? Why? You know, the area around President Kufuor's house, where they build, they say the highest, building in Accra. That is supposed to be a receiving place for water coming from the mountains. What has happened there today? They built there. Can you go and break those houses down? The people behind those houses, can you break them down? No. Why did we give them that land in the first place? So you find it very, you sit down and you ask yourself, why are people thinking? Unfortunately, local government, assemblies, they seem to have lost the power to do things because things seem to be more centralized. Local government seems to be more centralized than giving them the chance to do it. And then corruption also plays a part. If some big man is looking at some land where it is blocking a waterway, you come and pay. You take the money and close your eyes to the work he's doing. When then things get very, very challenging during the rainy season, what then happens? We now go and break it down. We have to sit and plan. I don't want to politicize this particular issue because Accra is specific. It will not stop flooding because of the nature of the land, the topography of the land. But Akable, you'll be surprised to learn that Kumasi, which has inundating hilly areas, some places are beginning to flood. Yeah. And those particular floods have got to do with human activity. Human activity. I remember my father was quite instrumental in the building of the old Kumasi markets. And he tells us that, he told me that when they were building it, they realized underneath the water there was quite challenging. For anything. So when they built the Accra market, and I'm not sure if you remember, there was a big building that stretched from one end to the other. They fortified the bottom of that thing. When they now broke the market down recently, and at that time he was alive, he indicated to them that don't touch that thing there. because it will create flooding. What happened? They touched it, went there and realized what he was saying was true, and they now moved the market to somewhere else. Because he was instrumental, especially in Ashanti development. And he'd been a regional minister, he'd been a chief executive and all that. So he understood what it meant where flooding was concerned in the Kumasi area. Kumasi is flooding. Other parts of the north are flooding. That has got to do with external factors, the Bagri Dam and all that. But the question then is asked, all this water, can we not have a system of capturing it? People's buildings, when they build, should they not have systems whereby they harvest water?
I mean, yeah, I remember when I was growing up, almost every home used to have their rain gutter.
Yes.
Then it goes into a tank. I mean, they virtually don't exist anymore.
Shouldn't that be a policy where we say from today, every house, you need to harvest water? Because what are we building? We are building boreholes. What is it for? Isn't it for water? Do we know the quality of water from the boreholes? At least rainwater, you can tell its quality. So it's got to do with the change of mind. It's got to do with planning, and it's got to do mostly with human activity. And we've got to be able to sit and discuss it, because it can't go on forever. Yes, Accra will continue to flood, but however, that flood should be reducing each year. And as I said, the Netherlands is below sea level. Does it flood? Does it flood? So why is it that? And you see, what will make matters worse is if we are not careful to control the sea when it now starts eating into the land, which has started along the coastline. So we need to forward plan. We need to forward think these things. Are we forward planning? Are we forward thinking? Because these things, it's not Ebola that will kill us. It's not COVID that will kill us. But these things can kill us, because anybody who doesn't have a habitat to sleep in at night is outside. Is outside. And you know what happens if you continuously, your habitat is on the streets. It's not a nice thing. So for me, it is something we should all come together, think of how we plan, and plan forward. Look, I asked the question, and I continuously ask this question. If there is a massive earthquake in Ghana today, what's the plan? What's the plan? And we are prone to earthquakes in Ghana. We are on the continental shelf where earthquakes happen. If there is a massive earthquake in Ghana today, especially if that massive earthquake is mixed with rain, this rainy season, the rains are heavy, where would we be? So I ask, who is planning? That is why sometimes for me, I indicate that NDPC should be an institution on its own. It shouldn't be linked to the presidency or any. It should be an institution on its own, planning how we handle our country. Because when you look at our manifestos, does it talk about flooding? Tell me which party manifesto, including my own. Which one talks about flooding in the city or flooding in Ghana? How many? None. So that responsibility should be given to NDPC, and we should get the experts, the engineers in there to plan our country. Because if we don't plan our country, I can't not saying. Very few. I can't not say plenty. And you'll be cursing us. What did they do? You build a house. Look, we go to West Legon. One particular thing about West Legon is that the land is clay. So it doesn't absorb the water quickly. And the other thing about it is that if you do a foundation and you don't fortify your foundation, the clay sways your building. You don't see it swaying, but it sways it. Where's the plan to make sure that places like that, we can have good drainage? Because West Legon, when it rains, this small rain that it rains, go and see, whole place flooded. My house has flooded 3 times. So it's a question for me of planning. and planning effectively, local government, assemblies, central government, everybody planning and making sure that we enforce the regulations and laws. But most of all, educate the people. Don't throw your refuse. And when we were growing up, we had these refuse trucks, huge refuse trucks, which had what you call it at the back. Every morning, everybody is supposed to bring their rubbish outside and put it in front of your house. The rubbish trucks come and they pour it in and it goes. Today, you even have rubbish bins around the markets. When they are full, how many, days do they come and pick? And you then ask the question, why is there only one refuse company in Ghana that is doing a lot of this refuse? Why don't we open it up? Isn't it only Zoom Lion? Tell me who else is doing it. Is it only Zoom Lion that has the technology?
These days, basically, there are lots of private tricycle operators who have...
That doesn't help.
That also comes with its own challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a question of planning and planning effectively. Period. And by saying, I still maintain that we need a strong national development plan that puts all this into perspective. And all parties should be part and parcel of it. And the politics that tends to go with it should stop, because this is an issue that affects everybody.
All right, sure. Still live here on New Day on TV3. We are discussing the flooding situation in the country. And when Mr. Janto was talking about the old houses, I remember my dad's old house very well. I remember that time it had the thing by the roof, and it was connected to a tank. So there was a particular tank in the house that was it was basically not a tank that we poured water into from the trucks. No, that tank basically was collecting just the rainwater. Then there was a poly tank that we had the suppliers who were bringing in the water. Then also the compound itself, not the entire compound was cemented. So there were parts of the compound that had grass. There were just few parts, mostly close to the door. Those were the ones that were cemented, close to the door into the apartments. Those were the ones that were cemented. So the main part was basically just a land that was there that had grass. If there was even no grass, there would be sand there, the water rains and it goes there. So an engineer that we spoke to earlier on was making the point that because we are no longer building in that manner, he says everyone's home is tiled these days.
God.
They tile even the compound.
Yes.
They tile the compound. And all what they do is that they create an outlet, a little outlet on the compound. So when it rains, the water just comes off the roof. The best they do is that they put what looks like it's a pipe, actually. So it collects the water from the roof and brings it down directly. So then it flows on the tile and exits at the single outlet that we put out there. Then what it does is that it goes out there. So basically, no one is harvesting the water. So the water from my house is coming out. The water from everyone's home, assuming we lived next to each other. So the quantity is now increased, and it all comes down to the streets, and it all goes down. And even on the streets too, the road that is likely to be in front of your house, unless you live by the roadside, it's not tarred as well. So there are no gutters there. So runoff water, it goes onto the main road now. Then the main road also, the gutter is also choked. The sand is in there, so the road gets flooded. So it's a big problem that we have on our hands. And Kamal, I don't know.
Before Kamal comes, let me add. Those areas that are really prone to flooding, we should have a policy where if we're building there, you build on stilts. And make sure that when you build on stilts, that underneath is drainage. So when water comes in, it can move. Your house doesn't get flooded.
Okay.
Do we do that? No. So we are failing also in policy. We are failing also in how we build houses.
Come on.
Well, I think that once again I'll say good morning to all of us.
Morning.
And we've been very quiet and patient on this matter. You'll have to look at it. But let me say good morning to the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, and wishing him well. And wishing his party and our party very, very well as we move on. He's been patient, he's been focused, and of course, he is going to deliver, inshallah, and Allah shall see him through. Council, 69 years of independence and counting. And all we do is to come every year to sit down and lament. without identifying the core problem, which we can do as human beings, okay, in our capacity to a large extent, and leave the rest to God. The rest to God because, obviously, most of these disasters are force measures or natural disasters as well. If it goes beyond our capacity, we cannot do anything about it. Not too long ago, Ghana had to fly some military men to go assist Jamaica, okay, because of some of these natural disasters. Countries that are so advanced also experience natural disasters. Even the United States of America, with all their technology engineering. So yes, it does not mean that we as human beings should not plan. That's why I said we should do what we can do within our capacity. We should be deliberate about how we plan our cities, how we work towards, if you like, curbing some of these disasters, and leave the rest to God, as it were. But are we doing it? The answer is no. We are not, because there's so many factors that comes to play. One, our leaders are not proactive. Amalva gave the history from 1930s to date. If we know this is what is happening, have we been deliberate about planning our cities? When we took over from the colonial masters, what has been our plan when we had laws like town and country planning, or laws establishing town and country planning? And today, as I speak, I believe when you go out to look for town and country planning office, you struggle. I'm telling you, let's go out. It's a challenge to everyone. Let's go out to see if indeed town and country planning is effective. Today, you go to our district assemblies or MMDCs. You're looking for someone to give building permits who is supposed to follow a structure, a form, a template is giving him on the table. That person will be found, but that template will not be found. He does it within his own whims and caprices, without recourse to the laws. That is why I say we are not proactive. And yet that person is paid monthly. And if he does not, he's not paid, he will make the noise more than everyone who actually is supposed to, make noise. Why? I have worked and they've not paid me, when in actual fact the person is not working. So we pretend to be working, we pretend to have laws, we pretend to have institutions, and our country is going backward. 69 years. We are here and we are comfortably referring to Malaysia, to Singapore, to Netherlands. We can make give such examples. But it is discipline that has taken them where they are. Simple. The president, when you played his tape, attributed the cause of some of these things to indiscipline. And I could not have agreed with him the more. It is complete indiscipline. Have you walked into a shop these days just to buy water? The water itself is plastic, and then the woman is telling them, listen to this. Oh, the woman is giving a plastic bottle and asking you whether she should put it in a plastic again for you to carry. Then I always ask them, why rubber again? I'm going to drink the water. He said, people, they want to find more and more. They'll be angry with you. Imagine, and that is true. And these are realities of life out there. The mindset. That you have disrespected me, you haven't kept it in the polythene bag for me. Honorable John just said something. He said some other jurisdictions, they're using banana leaves. They're using papers. In fact, just 2 days ago, I walked into a shop and I wanted to buy some, packs, food packs. I mean, what do you call it? Just take away packs or whatever. And I saw the paper ones. I was like, wow. I asked the old lady, she gave me the price. I said, no, I prefer that one. It's me in a car right now as we speak, because I have the need for it. So if I should buy paper, the other buy paper, and we are going to discard it, it is easier for such to be what? If you like.
Sometimes you can even reuse those ones.
Yeah, you can even reuse it sometimes. It's very strong. He made those references, and I'm asking myself, have we gotten our investment wrong in this country? Look at the number of banana trees. I don't call them trees or plants or whatever you call it.
Trees and
Look
plantain
at
trees.
plantain trees. Look at what we have. So the leaves or raw material will not be a problem. Can't we have, through the 1D, 1F, that MPP taught deep to have factories? Can't we have an investor who will say that my duty is to ensure that I use banana leaves and papers to provide some of the, to produce some of these things? Containers. And then now urge government to ban the usage of plastics. Why? When COVID came in, look at how our ingenuity came up. To the extent that we had to use some of these clothes that you're wearing.
Yeah.
As what? Nose mask. It means that we are just lazy. Until we are forced by a circumstance, we will not think and we will not act as a people. And I am saying that the speakers have all spoken. Our problem is that this indiscipline. Our leaders are not proactive. Some are pretending to work. How on earth? That's a very reasonable question, Lawyer John, to ask. You sit in the office, you allow someone to spring up a building until 1 year time. You go back and say, I want to go, and then what?
Demolish it.
Demolish it. Meanwhile, your duty was in the first place to ensure that nobody builds there. That was your duty. And yet that person is supposed to receive salary and even complain about the delay of his salary and then receive some, if you like, packages when he's going on retirement. How can we pay people who are not working? I think it's dangerous. It is bad for us. Second, our engineers and contractors. Who are we using as contractors in this country? I saw Suleiman Abrema and his friends when they did some work on the recent big push matter. To the extent that we are told that companies will be awarded several millions of Ghana cedis worth of contract, and their capacity is in question. Somebody will have 1 or 2 or 3 staff. Well, so struggle to get 1 tipper truck and get 1 wheelbarrow and it's going to do big push. Go to places like China. As soon as you are seen or earmarked or marked as somebody who has done shoddy work as a contractor, you know your punishment? Death.
Hey.
Yes. Check. Road, bridges, they give it to you and you do shoddy work, you are gone. Because you are supposed to go by the measurement, whatever engineering says. That is why Netherlands, you say, is underwater by what? Is surviving. Because they are disciplined. But we sit here, the first thing the contractor gets is mobilization. The next thing is to look for a car garage to buy a Tundra. That is what they do.
Because you are driving a Tundra.
Or to buy a Land Cruiser. That is what they do. I'm telling you, our contractors. And I'm saying, these are things we should be serious about. The ministry gives you mobilization to go and work to save people. The first mobilization hits his account. The next thing is he's asking for a car garage where he can get a car to buy.
Mobilizing himself.
Yes.
That's what the women like.
And those are the things we do to ourselves as a people.
That's what the women
So
like.
I am saying that, look, our contractors and engineers, please, with a great respect, they have entrusted the lives of people in your hands. Why? How on earth can Dodo Pepe Sutu Nkwanta Road be constructed in 2016? 10 years down the line, we are spending more money than what we used to construct that road,
substandard,
to repair that road. Are we serious people? And we come and make noise and say, I fulfill my promise as a leader. I have said this. If we are not careful, politicians, God will punish us one after the other. They will lash us on D-Day, I'm telling you. I'm serious about it. We can't be doing this to Ghana and then we are comfortable. So contractors and engineers and the people who give them the contract and the consultants who work on the roads, please, professionalism is key. Amalba says what? Water is very, 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 very revengeful. Water is strong. Water doesn't joke where this is my passage. That is true. Just pour water down and then it struggles to get its route and you want to stop it. It forces to squeeze its way out. I agree with him seriously. It's true. Water is too strong. Many people underrate it. He decided to compare it to an elephant or something like that. But it's even beyond an elephant.
It says the umbrella.
And that is why when the elephant comes,
One thing about, you see,
then the cockroach will die. The cockroach will die.
You see, it's very interesting.
At least the umbrella will take him from the car.
As for the umbrella you can't trust it. When there's little wind, you know what happens. You can't trust the umbrella. That's why they appear as scammers many times. When umbrellas come, what they tell you, I will do X, Y, Z. Watch them. It's not politics. They are unable to do it. Because the umbrella, little proper wind, the umbrella begin to. You don't know where it's going.
The elephant stands.
You understand? After the umbrella, for them, they deceive people. They are scammers. They come and tell you what they will do, and yet they will not do it. You understand? It's the umbrella that has given you the personal example I gave you. Okay. You understand? But nonetheless, I think that with all this said, we are all on the same wavelength. We are saying the same thing here. We come every year, and I like the reference lawyer Malba made about Ricky Kassisi's piece that he wrote, when he says that, look, we have forgotten. We celebrate flooding as a festival too. I agree. It's true. It has become an annual ritual.
Yeah.
It is a perennial something. We end up, all we do is that every year we come and sit down and talk about it. But I think that our leaders must be proactive. Our contractors and engineers must be proactive. Our local authorities, we beg you. We didn't put DCEs and engineers, district planners, and whatever there, just because we take salary and then do whatever they want to do. With a great respect, I think we have to rewrite, if you like, our story and replan ourselves properly and then leave the rest to God, as it were.
When we were growing up, we were happy when the rainy season was coming.
Yes. But now, no.
Now, when it's raining and you're sitting in your office, you're thinking, hey, is my house flooding?
Yeah.
But let me add this, even though it's a bit, maybe many may not have averted their minds to it. Watch most of the disasters that happen. It happens on Wednesdays in Ghana. I've made a lot of references. May 9th disaster, Wednesday. Okay? June 3rd disaster, Wednesday. Helicopter crash, Wednesday. In fact, this one, I'm not trying to remind, Dagban for what we went through. But of course, the unfortunate incident of, the Yanas, whatever, happened on Wednesday. And just last Wednesday, when we were now trying to see how far we have come after June 3rd disaster, it happened again on Wednesday. We lost lives.
So what do you do about Wednesday?
All we have to do, this one, I'm trying to let you understand.
Should we take Wednesday
We are a country that believes in religiosity strongly. And that's why I can add this. Our pastors, our imams, please, spirituality holds us. I've always said that every human being is spirit. This body is just a container. Let us not forget to intercede on behalf of Ghana. We need to find out. The Gombe say when it happens on Wednesday, the likelihood of it happening again is very, 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 very high. So pray to avert it. Thank you.
We have to congregate at the Independence Square.
That's not it's important. Why you forgotten?
The National Cathedral.
Oh, National Cathedral.
That's just by the way.
Let me just read this.
Yes.
It says Ghana's floods from 1935 to now didn't all happen on Wednesdays, but a surprisingly high number of the major ones did.
On Wednesdays. I'm telling you. Yeah. So let's watch it.
In fact, this week, Wednesday, that he's referring to, when the building collapsed at Adenta, at the same time, there was fire at Accra around the same time. Around the same time, different parts of Accra was virtually flooded.
It's very interesting.
Council says we should take off Wednesday.
Anyway.
We are going to do a final round. What you're going to do is, I want to bring you that statement. Abraham Maliba made reference to the statement as well, bits and pieces of it, from the regional minister on what they intend to do. Now, she says that Accra will no longer be a sanctuary for indiscipline. That she has announced decisive measures to strengthen compliance, public safety, and urban governance. And so they proceed to list what they will be doing step by step. First, there will be a comprehensive audit of multi-story developments. So exercise will be undertaken to assess ongoing and recently completed multi-story developments across the country, and the buildings that are found to be in breach of approved permits, structural requirements or safety regulations will face the appropriate legal and administrative actions. Removal of unauthorized structures and encroachments. They'll work closely with the MMD to enforce the enforcement exercise to remove unauthorized structures located within waterways, drainage reservations, road reservations, green belts, and other public spaces. So these are necessary to ensure that the drainage system is cleared up for water to move through, reduce flooding, and protect public infrastructure. Also, enhance the enforcement of planning and development regulations as well. So all developers, property owners, and land users are reminded of their obligation to comply with the planning, building, and environmental regulations. So enforcement agencies have been directed to ensure compliance. Then there will be also institutional accountability review. They will strengthen the Greater Accra Coordinating Council's oversight. Then improve waste management and environmental sanitation enforcement is another thing that they intend to do as well. And citizen reporting and public participation would also be encouraged. And it concludes by saying that Accra belongs to all of us. Together we must build a city that is safe, orderly, environmentally responsible, and fit for future generations. Accra will no longer be a sanctuary for indiscipline. The time for compliance, accountability, and responsible citizenship is now. And it's signed by Linda Obinewa Akwili Okulu, MP, Greater Accra Regional Minister. And that's the position on what is going to happen going forward. Let me start with you, Mr. Jantua. Good starting point.
Talk is cheap.
Absolutely.
I want to see action.
I mean, this is the short thing. We don't have to waste our time on this.
Talk is cheap. I want to see action. Let's start the action. And if you see the action is bringing results, we hail them. Simple.
I agree with you.
It's very easy to say all these things. What's the plan? You see, and when you're saying these things, it's always good to show the people the plan in arriving at these things. What you did, who you spoke to, who was part and parcel of all these types of things. You should be able to let the people see and be part and parcel of it. If you impose it on the people, that is where you get comeback on it.
That's smart money.
So I hope before they got here, they've done all their, what do you call it?
It's a paperwork.
It isn't just rhetoric.
You are disappointed if not. They just wrote it and brought it out.
It isn't just rhetoric. Because it has to act. And the most important bit about it all is that if it doesn't work, it stops at the doorstep of the president. They will not talk about the regional minister. They'll talk about Mohammed's government. So they should know and make sure that I would have even wanted a situation where they bring parliament in, because parliament, they do the laws. They bring the judiciary in and make sure that the judiciary is ready to prosecute anybody who goes ultra vires to what they're trying to do. You make sure that whether it's a big man, whether it's a small man, whether somebody with money, whether it's a financier or political party, they are not above the law. If they built in an area that creates flooding, they can break that house down. And by saying, in doing all these things, make sure that you respect the people. No brutalization by any army officer or police of people going against the law. But give her the benefit of the doubt. She started this way. Let's see how it progresses.
For me, you see, these appointees of government these days, it's either they are on social media, okay, making all manner of misogynistic, statements against women, or they come and tell you we will transfer somebody because of, for punishment or as a punishment. Or, all they do is talk. Most of the appointees of this government. All they do. Look, that's why Kusi Pratt said that he's disappointed. He pities Mahama. And that's exactly what Lord Jantua is saying. This talk is cheap. They wait. When things happen, they come to write plenty English. Either put on social media, or insult women on social media, or say any man of. Look at the Ashanti Regional Minister, for instance. And what he's doing to women. And say we shouldn't talk. The same thing. Linda has been in the news. Her own people came after her because of loose talk sometimes. So for me, I don't take them serious until they act. Honestly, I don't really take them serious. Well, you told us about the task force that was actually put in place by the president. If you put a task force in place, 1 year down the line, we have not heard anything that the task force has done. With which ministry? Works and Housing Ministry is there. They are supposed to look at the brick and mortar, whatever that they are supposed to do. The task force committee, what is the work? 1 year down the line, what report have we received? Apart from when they were commissioned. You only read to us when they were put in place.
Yeah.
We should have yearly an account should come. When the president put together a committee, the committee worked in conjunction with this ministry and this agency. We have come this far. This is our plan. Nothing like is on the table. That's why I say these people, the appointees of this government, talk is cheap. They can't talk. No wonder. A bunch of scammers have come to government. So that's what is going to happen to us. Do you understand? So for me, until I see, of course,
be very careful with the words you use, because definitely, when your party came into power, same things happened. Same things happen. Let's be careful.
I'm saying there are a bunch of scammers. Because if you tell me you will do this, I come and do something different. You're not a scammer.
Why did they not vote for your party when the
that is why
came?
You called for reset. They called for reset. They said they were going to reset Ghana.
Wasn't it the same scamming? Let's stop that kind of language.
We made a mistake. You have come.
No, let's stop that kind of language.
Talk.
It doesn't help anybody. Yes, it's just talk. You can't call them scammers. You don't have to call anybody a scammer when the people have voted them into power. No,
really,
don't do that. Your people, Ghanaians voted the MPP into power.
I am saying that this government will tell you they will do X, Y, Z. The next moment is a problem. They will not do it.
Respect the people.
So if that's not a scam,
respect the people's decision. If the people, the people called your party scammers, they called another scammer a scammer, what would you say?
They use words more than scammers.
Stop it. That doesn't mean you should continue. Two wrongs never make a right.
Oh no, it will.
Two wrongs never make a right.
When it was them,
I think I agree. I agree with the point that Mr. Johnson.
What point? That I shouldn't use the word scam.
No. To the extent that you categorically stated that there are a bunch of scammers.
Yes, the government. I mean, I am criticizing the government.
Who's your president?
No, because come on, I think it would be fair if, for instance, you were talking about person A and you said person A
is a scammer.
You
can't say they're all a bunch of
government that says cocoa farmers were going to be giving more money and they haven't been giving more money.
I'm coming.
No, a government that says
not as if you guys didn't do it.
Let's mention
it's not as if you guys didn't do it. You've been in power.
But that's the point.
You've been in power.
That's the point I'm making. That to the extent that if not,
I'm not that. He's part of government.
And I'm saying.
So he's part of government. You are calling him a scammer.
Let's do some messages.
He's part of government. You are calling him a scammer.
Let's do some messages now. Ebu Bakman,
who should be here? He's rather.
Ebu, who should be sitting here? You are not here. You've sent a message. You say that God willing, next year we'll be sitting here. Hopefully you'll be with us when we are doing that. We'll be sitting here discussing the same issue again, because the moment the rain stops and the land dries, we stop taking action to solve the problem of flooding. Until the next disaster strikes, we are the problem, particularly the politicians, not the rain and floods. Stephen, when you also sent this one, you said it is sad to be reminding ourselves about these avoidable disasters. ENP wanted to desalt Odona for free, but a certain government refused that and went ahead to borrow money for the exercise and ended up under okay, under a bed of okay. From Koblavi, Pokwasi, Benghazi, Small Libya, you say that you are talking about Abronye. We are not discussing Abronye. We are not discussing Abronye, please. Musa Abatwa from Asawasi, you say that the recurring floods in Accra and Kumasi require urgent attention and lasting solutions, while authorities must improve drainage systems and urban planning. Citizens must stop dumping refuse into gutters, which contributes significantly to flooding. Sanitation laws should be strictly enforced and offenders held accountable. Combating flooding is a shared responsibility that demands commitment from both government and the public. Let me do a couple of other messages as well. Aziz Donla, you say that the flood situation across the country is really serious and we must respond quickly before more damage is caused. Ralph from Akuse, you send this one. You say that our problem as a country is about law enforcement. Even those in your studio are all corporates. We talk and nothing happened. Go around and see the internal routes that are being constructed and see the size of gutters still, like 1930 gutters.
Talked about the gutters.
We have failed as a country, simpliciter. Ralph Pokwas, you send that one. You said that another one here. You said that the MPP should be the least talking about drainage. you have Cecilia Dapa in mind. I'm not too sure. I just the only connection I know is that she was the water and water resources
money
minister.
Meant for drainage purposes, sanitation purposes, were not used for that. I think that's what he was trying to talk about.
Okay, that's not clear in the message in the message here. That's why I was saying that as well. Okay, so those are some of the messages that have come in so far here. Yes, those are some of the messages. You can still keep your messages coming. Let me come over to
a quick
now.
one.
Yes.
When the regional minister talked about all these measures they are bringing in, shouldn't the Minister of Finance have been with her? Because all this has got to do with what?
No, need money.
Money.
We need money.
So, if for anything at all, the Minister of Finance, somebody from the Minister of Finance should be sitting next to her, indicating that for what the minister is saying, we are going to put in X amount of money to make sure it works.
There's also money allocated to flood prevention. We even get from donor agencies huge amounts of money and
a lot of money.
And what happens to it?
At the end,
let's probe it.
Yeah, I mean, then
let's probe it.
Council, this is what the government intends to do.
Yeah, there are good programs or good measures she's bringing in. Two things. One has to do with the polarized nature of our politics. If she begins doing these things, I'm sure the MPP will cash in and begin to make promises to people who will be affected by these measures. That is a major bane in our democracy. We all know what is right, but we take advantage of government measures that are meant to bring relief to the general good. We take advantage of that and begin to, make promises to people who did the wrong thing but are being corrected. Then you go and meet them and say, oh, when we come to power, we will not do this. That is the bane of this, our democracy. It's the bane. The next thing too is that if people like this threaten the government, will we be able to continue to implement these policies? These policies are coming late in the day, but they are necessary to correct the situation. Things like audit of multi-story, it should be a daily affair.
Absolutely.
It should be a daily affair by regulators.
Absolutely.
I have seen story buildings. I'm not an architect, I'm not anything about engineering, but you can just see, you can just ask your question, these pillars, can they actually support this? You can just see it. But they have come up.
That is very true.
These things should be a daily affair. Removal of unauthorized structures, daily affair. So,
shanty towns.
I think that she will be remembered if she is able to do these things as one of the best regional ministers. But you see, I remember during Rawlings administration, one Amatefio, is it Nick? It's not Nick, but he's also Amatefio, made the Greater Accra MC. You should, Amatefio. Rawlings time, Amatefio. He's late. They say he was an architect. And when he was appointed, people who call in, because he's a colossus in the architectural industry. People said that because of his background and knowledge of Accra, some of these things that we are talking about flooding, about kiosks, misplaced buildings where buildings are not supposed to be, will be solved. It didn't happen. It didn't. And we are here today. So I don't know.
It's unfortunate.
And that is why I have said that, can we go the Ivory Coast way? Can we? Do we have resources to do that? Can we move the capital from Abidjan to Yamoussoukro? Can we move the capital from Nigeria, from Lagos to Abuja? Can we do that? Can we also do that? And just move the capital. And when you go to Abuja... Amaka Amatefio. That's him. Late. If you go to Abuja, and you can see planning. You can see, even though now some suburbs are also coming up. But you can see planning. But they had a windfall of oil money, and then they were able to do that. But I don't know whether we can also do that. But if we can, I think we should just move the capital away from Accra.
Why?
It
won't stop the flooding. It won't stop the flooding.
No. But
we should mind
No. I have agreed with you, but what I'm saying is that let me finish my submission. No, like what?
I want to tell you why.
I have finished all the matters of flooding. I have finished all the matters of flooding. And when I was making my submission of flooding, you were not the one giving me the ideas. Now I'm saying that we have abused the capital. Are you listening to me?
Yes, I'm listening.
We have abused the capital. The place they call the capital. Can we also move it?
Okay.
And then plan it very well.
But let's remember the capital moved from Cape Coast to Accra.
Yes.
We're not advocating for such anyway, but we're looking at the congestion.
Okay.
Now, if there's a possibility of creating another city, it expands our development.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, the resources is where the problem is.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
And you know why I beg to differ?
Why?
You still get congestion in that new
No,
place.
don't do that.
Let me finish.
Because the point is, if you are not going to be disciplined, enforcement will create the same problem elsewhere.
Then we must start afresh to enforce the laws. Here where we are now. Here where we are now, you can't do any planning again. It's finished.
Let me finish.
Here is finished.
Let me finish.
No more planning.
So you now go to a new place and then insist on the planning.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what?
Yeah, briefly for me.
You know what? All the capital cities we have in Ghana, Takoradi, Kumasi, all those places, we should equally develop those areas. The reason why people move into Accra is because of lack of development in those areas.
Okay.
That's why I keep saying the North should have a development plan where we build the North.
Okay.
Because it's what? It's linked to the sub-region.
Yes.
And it opens it up. It's not a question of moving the capital city somewhere else.
Okay.
Develop all the others equally.
All right.
Period.
And AB was mentioning. He mentioned something about the political aspect of it and how political opponents may pick on it and everything. I'm sure most of you have seen a video on TikTok. Actually, sometimes even internal politics. There's a video of an NDC parliamentary aspirant in a previous election. His wall has been pulled down, and he's making allegations. You just go on TikTok, just check that video. The gentleman's name is he's Kobe Mensah. Yes, you've seen that video on TikTok. Kobe Mensah, former NDC parliamentary aspirant for Ablekuma West. I've seen this one when I was coming. I watched an interview that he had granted where he was talking about the fact that his wall has been pulled down because of the party's internal politics. And after they lost the election, someone put it on a WhatsApp page that they now have the MP and they have the MC, so they were going to deal with him. Meanwhile, the assembly has demolished a wall saying that it's obstructing a major waterway at Opeitekwe in the Ablekuma West constituency. So that is his wall that has been pulled down, and that is his actually. So sometimes the politics is not even just MPP and this. Sometimes even within the same political party. And he, if you listen to the interview, he says that even under MPP that he does not belong to the MPP. They didn't pull down structure, but under the party that he has stored for the party that he has stored with his resources, they are doing this to him. Those are some of the things that we've had to be confronted with in dealing with this situation that we have on our hands, and that's how we wrap up this segment.
We're not talking about the hospital
big issue. We have to do a crossover. Hold on, we have to do a crossover. So yes, we have to do a crossover. I'm coming. We have to do a crossover. A big issue, as always, is sponsored by the University of Gold Coast. Whether you are aiming for a specialist MBA in marketing, communication, operations, supply chain, human resource management, finance, entrepreneurship, innovation, or business intelligence analytics, or you want to advance through our dual MBA or chartered manager MBA, University Gold Coast gives you options that match your vision. And if your next step is an MSc in international relations, communication, international marketing, international law, security diplomacy, accounting, finance, or human resource management, an LLM in international law, security diplomacy, or an MA in biblical studies, practical theology, the pathway is open. You can apply today because at University of Gold Coast, we make it practical flexible learning, flexible entry, and flexible payments. Study around your work and life and choose a route that fits your background and pay in convenient installments as well. Your dream deserves structure, your future deserves strategy, your purpose deserves training. You can apply now at www.ugc.edu.gh or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0263 888555. University of Gold Coast building leaders for the nations. My guests this morning have been Kamaldeen Abdullahi.
The Ghana Drunkers Association, they are calling for the boycott of drinks from South Africa. So if our Drunkers Association can do that, those of us who are sober should do more, because the situation is dire in South Africa for our brothers. And I think that on this occasion, I want to commend the Ghana Drunkers Association, not for them drinking, but for them showing the way.
That's Abraham Amaliba. He's with the National Democratic Congress, Director General National Road Safety Authority. Kwame Jantua is a legal practitioner, member of the Convention People's Party as well. Kamaldeen Abdullahi is with the New Patriotic Party, Deputy Commissions Director, former Consul General to Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the man who drives a powerful car, I'm going to check his car right now. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned in.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,247.
Hey, Abili, wabadim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account. 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
This is the old way. Let me show you a new and a better way. EduPath.
EduPath?
Yes, EduPath. A GS approved and subsidized initiative for all first year students going to SHS.
TV3, first in news. First in news.
That Dope Nation song, people have been talking about it in a dance. There's a meme I actually saw on TikTok when the gentleman scored, when Caleb Yuenchi scored. Someone was saying that Dope Nation, you're waiting for him to do the Kakalika dance. But if you want to do the dance at the tournament proper, we have to score goals. And whether we can score goals is another matter altogether. But the Black Stars, they've arrived in Washington.
Yes, yes, they are in the US now for the FIFA World Cup. It's not their official arrival. It's a bit tricky with regards to the itinerary because they landed in Washington and they are currently in Virginia. However, they would move to Maryland where they will base up until they play their friendly game behind closed doors. And then from Maryland, they head to Rhode Island where they'll be at the Bryant University. That's their camp base for training for this FIFA World Cup. So they would then go to the Rhode Island, be at the Bryant University and train up until a day before the match against Panama, which they would fly into Toronto, play that game, and then come back the night after the match. So once they finish that match, it would be around 7 p.m. Canada time. So once they finish that match, by 10, 11, they are back to Rhode Island to continue preparations for the England game as well. So there's going to be a lot of movement in the next few days for the Black Stars. And I mean, it's time. It's crunch time, and we're hoping that they're able to prepare well.
I mean, let's talk about the team now. And I know that quite recently there have been questions about the quality of the squad. And this early in the morning, I was reading a publication by The Guardian. They profile the various teams. And the Ghana profile, actually, they list Antoine Semenyo as the star man. And I found it very interesting because maybe 14 months ago, I don't think most Ghanaians would have agreed that he would be the star man. But in terms of the quality of the team as we have it now, and Antoine Semenyo himself has been speaking about that as well, I want you to answer the question first of, are they good enough? That is one. I mean, potentially, if you compare to maybe the 2010 group, one may argue that they may be a bit similar because they were young, relatively unknown. But with that team, they had done so well at under 20 level. Yeah. So is the talent there? Is the potential there?
I think there's never been a doubt about the level of talent that this Ghanaian team possesses. Even in the worst periods that we've seen in the past 6, 7, 8 years, failing to qualify for the AFCON, not being able to go past the group stages, you still had very talented guys like Mohamed Kudus, Kamaldeen Sulemana, Enes Nuama. All of these guys are well rated when it comes to their club sides in Europe. However, for some reason, whenever they come to the national team, it's never really clicked. And I mean, it's a better problem to have than not to have any quality at all and then struggle. I think for this team, it's just one click away. I think if the formula is right and we're able to really unleash the best possible exercise, that there's that chemistry, I do think that they can surprise people. But however, finding the right formula for these players is very tough. And you could see that the evidence from the friendly against Wales, where the first half was very drab. It was difficult for the team to play.
The first 25 minutes, we virtually couldn't string more than 5 passes at a time.
Yeah, you compare that to between minutes maybe 58 to 70, where the subs came in, the younger players came in. And I think that has been the concern of everyone. If you look at the national team setup, if you're comparing a player who has over 100 caps to a player who has 1, 2 caps, yes, the 100 caps would have experience, but the level of aggression and energy the person playing his second would play with, you can arguably make the case that it would be way more than a guy playing his 110th game, because he's used to this. The newer guys who have come in, they want to seize this opportunity. And you could tell in those 15, 20 minutes in that second half that they wanted to play for a place in the team. And that's why it's important that we've brought in a new coach. And that's also why it's important that the coach would allow a real form of meritocracy. That if you play well, you come into the team. I'm coming into this team, I don't know anything. I don't have my starting 11, I don't have my best players. I don't even know who my best players are. If you impress me, I give you a chance. And I think if we go by that and we play our players who are the most passionate, who want it more, because this World Cup, I don't think it would genuinely be about who has the best team. Yesterday, yes, it was a friendly match, but we saw Ivory Coast go head-to-head with France and actually beat them. The result wouldn't mean much because it's a friendly match, but it does tell you that if you have that passion, aggression, you want to win your duels, and you are compact, you can actually do something at this World Cup. And so the template is there. It's really up to the boys to make the most out of the opportunity.
What has Antoine Semenyo been saying about the quality of the team?
Well, for Semenyo, I mean, he has been talking about the fact that, in 2022, when he switched nationality to Ghana, he mentions that his parents were a key part of that decision. They never spoke about England. It was all about Ghana, Ghana, Ghana. And he also thinks that, they have the right amount of talent to be able to go to the US and then surprise a lot of teams.
Really mention anything about England. Obviously, living in England, you get the conversation of, you should represent England, but it was never a conversation I ever had, really. Ghana came in at 19, 20, so I was never going to turn it down. It's a dream come true, to be honest. There was a lot of talent in the previous Ghana sides, but I feel like now it's coming in with abundance. There's so many positions that we've got covered. There's so much talent in there. I feel like when we do come together, such a special group and just endless talent, and I feel like we can shock a lot of nations. And we just need to prove to the world that we can be up there and compete with everyone else. I feel like that's the only question mark now. So once we do that, that'll be the story, bro.
That's the star man, Antoine Semenyo, there speaking. We all hope that he can replicate his fantastic form at Bournemouth and subsequently at Manchester City for the Black Stars at the World Cup. Hopefully, we play in a manner that suits him. But early on, Oriku, you made a point about the fact that we need to pick the right players. I remember the 2010 World Cup, and one man who is very familiar with Ghana's World Cup fortune, Stephen Appiah, he had led us to the 2006 World Cup. If you remember the 2010 World Cup lineup, Appiah was players like Dede were playing ahead of Appiah. Yeah. They were playing ahead of Appiah. Yeah. And so that should tell you that the fact that you have the armband does not necessarily mean that you have to start. And if you remember that team very well, Prince Boateng was also there. No, that was in the 2010 as well. Yes, in the South Africa. He was in there as well. Kojo Asamoah as well. Yes. So it was a very young team that they were willing to work their socks off. And then I don't know what Apia has been saying about this current team and going into the tournament and what they can do with his own experience, especially the last World Cup. He had to sit on the bench as the captain. Basically, more or less became a general captain of sorts.
Yeah, I think that's the message that he's preaching. That the World Cup is a really big opportunity, and for him, he's urging every player who gets the chance to showcase